Do you love fresh baked sourdough bread? Have you ever wanted to bake it at home? In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a sourdough starter on your kitchen counter that you can keep in your refrigerator for days, weeks, years, and bake loaf after loaf of delicious, nutritious, homemade bread, the same way our ancestors did. Let's demystify the process. Good bread starts with good flour. Yes, in a pinch, you can purchase bread flour from the grocery store, and yes, I have had decent results with it. But for the same cost or less, I much prefer to source my flour from a local flour mill. I purchase my flour direct from a small family-run mill in Arva, Ontario, which is just outside of London. They deliver in Canada and the US. Check below for the link in the description. Here's a fun fact. One Sunday morning, my husband and I took a drive to the mill, and I was fascinated with it. Arva Flour Mill opened their doors in 1819 and are thought to be the oldest operating mill in this part of the world. Their antique Goldie and McCullough cold roller mills replaced the stone ground Grice mills in 1904, which may be the last of this vintage found anywhere in North America. So now on to the starter. Day 1. In a clean, wide-mouth mason jar, add half a cup of hard white bread flour and half a cup of filtered water. Stir and cover the jar with a cotton kitchen towel and leave this on the counter for 24 hours. Day 2. Before you feed your starter, take a look and smell it. You'll notice and smell that fermentation has begun and the starter is bubbly and considerably thinner than yesterday. You're going to remove a quarter cup of yesterday's starter from the jar, add a quarter cup of hard white bread flour, and a quarter cup of filtered water. Stir it, cover it with a cotton kitchen towel or your bread head. Leave it on the counter for 24 hours. On days 3 through 5, you're going to continue to feed your starter and pay attention to its progress. You should continue to smell the fermentation and see bubbles. But by this time, the starter is starting to get thicker and has more substance. Each day, continue to remove a quarter cup of starter from the jar and discard. To the remaining starter, you add a quarter cup of hard white bread flour and a quarter cup of filtered water. You stir it, cover it, place the rubber band, and leave it on the counter for 24 hours. This time-lapse video shows what my starter did on day 5 after I fed it. You're seeing 3 hours worth of video in 10 seconds, but what it's showing you is that it doubled in size. This is important. As soon as your starter can double in size within 5 to 6 hours or less, that's when you know you have a good, viable starter that will bake bread. Also keep in mind that since we are not using traditional yeast from the grocery store, you are likely not going to see big, fluffy, overflowing starter. Instead, it's going to be a little more low-key, but trust the process. You will get a delicious loaf. Stay tuned for my next videos on taking that starter and baking bread with it.